Bice Curiger is a legendary curator, one of the first women curators who curated the Venice Biennale ILLIMInations, that was the title, and she's the editor of the Parkett magazine for arts. And on the occasion of the Berlin Art Week this year, she is curating this amazing exhibition of Sigmar Polke at the symbolic space of Schinkel Pavillon. So I like the title very much, the Höhere Wesen Befahlen, the higher powers order or command. So who are these higher powers? What are they?
The higher powers is, of course, first of all, a quote from a work of Sigmar Polke, a work which is also here, a portfolio. And in a way, it was a bit humorous take on inspiration, on all the lofty ideas around art, which the artist is able to get from these higher powers. And Sigmar in the 60s and 70s was sort of making fun and criticizing, ironically, a lot of these, as we call, holy cows and fetishes of the Western art world. And the higher powers command, make Polke exhibition is the subtitle of this exhibition, and the main title is the Heimische Waldboden, which is the home turf, the floor in the wood at home, which is almost untranslatable because it's a very German term, and I like that because it is a metaphor for Sigmar Polke's biography, which starts in Silesia, which is today Poland, and he fled the east, first to Thuringia and then to the west with his 7 siblings and the parents and the aunt, and came to Düsseldorf in 1953. He was 12 years old. So it's referring to the German history, background, the biographical background of Sigmar Polke. And at the same time, the Waldboden, the floor of the, it's a botanical term also, and an ideological term. It is also art, Western art, which he reflects also all the time.
Yes, and you said that you knew him personally, and he is one of the very, I would say, controversial. He was a difficult character and very critical, and it would be so interesting to know more about his character and how he worked, because, as it is said, he's not very much shown. It is one of the very rare exhibitions that happened. For me, he is one of the most interesting, also visually, and his work with raster and his capitalist critique are immense and are timeless, actually. But how was it to work with him personally?
Oh, he was very humorous, very quick mind, very intelligent, very knowledgeable, and very attentive to it was very dedicated to the persons he was around, and if you say he was known to be difficult, it's true. He didn't answer telephones, he somehow was also protecting himself from himself, because he was at the same time so generous and so ready to be interested in other, that he had to protect himself also to not
to disperse.
yeah.
I also read this anecdote that Benjamin Rooslock wanted to show his exhibition at the Kunsthalle Düsseldorf, and in one night he invited a carpenter and made this huge gate with the slogan "Art makes free," and he expected it to be a huge scandal. He wanted to provoke, like being a German artist after this war and the atrocities. And I found this very daring and interesting to put on with this topic in the time when Theodor Adorno was claiming that it is so complicated to do art after all the Holocaust and the atrocities. And I think it's a very important part of his work being like that.
Yes, I think that it's really his force that he was so looking at also the dusty part, the dark parts of reality, but his humor is not there just for the humor, for the sake of being funny, but the humor is an uplifting force. So I think this is the counterbalance to that always heaviness which he addressed right after the war in this society, which was a different one than today. If we look back to the 60s and 70s, he was pointing to also all the lies on the covers which had been put on
trying to forget all of that,
yeah.
this attempt to forget all of that. I love this work upstairs, The Gangster, where this guy is opening up and showing whatever he
And
has
at the
to show.
same time, the gangster is there in his underwear.
I know, exactly.
And I also see sort of a portrait of an artist who is there with his expensive cigar and opened up his coat to show the pornographic maybe works or photos, and at the same time he's exposing himself in the underwear. So it is also a topic he was picking up a lot, and this questioning, what is the artist? Is he really this heroic, divine persona, individual? So like the handlines which he painted or pretended that he had corrected them, so also referring to this fetish of individualism and in the art, and this heroic uniqueness of the original and so on.
Exactly, and without making fun of it, but very sublimely, very exquisitely. And then he quotes art history, one of the other works, Carl André, that is also amazing. How he tries to put this question at the relation of the art historical works to us and to contemporary artists. And all this love to the detail, which actually was neglected in the 60s and 70s, was very different. That makes him, and also this working on fabrics. Most of this women work with fabrics that is very different with him. Yes, and this exhibition will be shown then in Fondation Van Gogh in Arles.
Yes, we will travel the works to Arles, but extend the exhibition because we have more space in Arles. And we will also have included a lot of works which are in French collections, specifically in museums. And it is interesting that there was a strong reception of Sigmar Polke's work, especially after the early 80s. And from Musée d'Art Moderne in Paris and some local museums. We have now a big work from Le Carré d'Art in Nîmes, and we have one from Toulon, in south of France. So this is also an opportunity to then look at the relationship, the history of the relationship. Sigmar also did a whole body of work related to the French Revolution.
Well, the Toulon Art Museum of Art is amazing. It's a wonderful collection. We were recently there. Yes, Daniel Boren is amazing. This I loved, and Marcel Lucas. Oh, that's very interesting that he will be shown in France. German artists in France are not shown often, I think. But this is a fantastic coincidence. I know that you were one of the first who showed Pirosmani, the Georgian artist. And it was back in the 1995. Now more museums have shown him. But this, you were one of the first. I'm so interested how it all went and how it came about.
Yes, I'm still very happy that I was able to show Pirosmani's work in '95 after I had gotten to see it in '89. It was right before the fall of the wall. I was at the mythical AICA conference, AICA International Art Critics Association, which in the time of Glasnost was organized. It should have happened in Leningrad at the time, but then because they had so many participants, they had a shortage for food for so many people, and they changed, and the Congress was organized in Tbilisi. And for that, yes, we then went to see a lot of interesting spots, and also the museum. And there I saw all these works of Pirosmani and said, why don't I know this? It's fantastic. And there was a colleague, art critic from Eastern Germany at the time, said, no, he is known. There is even a catalogue raisonné in 4 languages. So I went back to Zurich, went to the Communist bookshop, and found a big copy of the catalogue raisonné. I think it was in German. And I always looked at this and said, I want to do a show. And when I was started to work as a curator at the Kunsthaus Museum of Fine Arts in Zurich, I came up with this idea, Signs and Wonder. I thought I'd just show the young artists which are at the time emerging and really they were had a lot of attention that hadn't been shown in Zurich. So like Cindy Sherman, like Mike Haley, Jeff Koons, Katharina Fritsch, etc. And I said I want to create 6 chapels where I include in each chapel works of Pirosmani. In the middle of the exhibition space was 70 meters long and 18 meters wide, so about 2,300 meters square, where you always do architecture. And I, of course, had to negotiate negotiate with the director in Tbilisi, which was not so easy with communication, but we succeeded, and the works arrived, accompanied by Johnny Akobatse, the restorer at the time, who was wonderful. He accompanied, he took care, and the museum invited him to stay a week or two to learn new techniques of restoration, and the museum then bought a computer, a printer, and some instruments for restoration, lamps, and so on, to be offered Tbilisi.
Oh, that's so interesting, because afterwards there was this enormous crisis, and they didn't even have lighting in the museums.
Yeah.
Now it's a bit better, but this was really a milestone in the history of Pirosmani's reception.
Yeah.
And how was the response of the press? I read a little bit that this contrabook, this Pirosmani's auratic works and the contemporary works, they worked very well. I read some reviews in the Neue Zürcher Zeitung, and it came up very well. They said it was very strange, it was contrary to each other, but it also showed some motives with animals.
I think one of the idea was, of course, that here is a young generation of artists who are not minimal artists anymore, not abstract artists, but are also trying to have a certain directness in the artistic language, like Pirosmani, who was painting to attract immediately, also in the dark cavernas, a public which was broad, and he was looking for a directness, and that was, I think, common idea or the common denominator for bring this together. And I sort of wanted to put it really in the context of contemporary art, like something which is fallen down from the sky and we don't really know. So to take him away from the label of naive artist, because I think naive is already looking down at someone who has no education, and this is already the wrong approach. So to make it on the same level as the contemporary artist, the young artist, was a very important aspect in the exhibition. And of course, then in the catalogue and whatever you explain, you tell the story, you tell where he's coming from, you tell his biography, and we show the films, all the films that exist, and which are used. But it's more a question of the context, how you decide to.
Especially curated contexts are very interesting, and this is how I come up to your, for whom you curate, for whom the artist does his art. For Pirosmani, it was directed to people, the simple common people, or anyone who would come up and see the work. It wasn't so high established, and that's what I think art curate also needs. There is no higher, no art. There is this art, and there's the public. And actually, it has to be more inclusive rather than exclusive.
I think also that's why I choose titles which are not referring to an art historical explanation with style or words which are technical, but more something which has to do with common experiences we share.
us to this illuminations, I found that time the title amazing. Is that this art and curated art puts light on something that is hidden? Isn't that the vision? Is that correct?
Exactly.
Putting light or showing something that otherwise would be hidden. And you can call it political or not political. It has to shed light on something.
Yes, exactly. Also, the Biennale is always the place with the national pavilions. The Biennale with the national pavilions. And ILLIMInations and had a big return. And of course, it's not about the nation states like the nationalism which is pulling down. But nation and a community, a communal life, and of course it's about the artistic community which has a bit ideal which we have also to protect, the ideal that we can debate more freely in politics or in everyday
Absolutely. Absolutely. This censorship devastates it all. What art lives on is freedom, and only through this dialogue it comes up. I absolutely wanted to ask about what could be the perspective of the feministic curated and the women artists and curators. It's very topical now. Still very few women curators. If you could give a perspective of curating.
No, I'm really happy that there is things are moving this way. But yes, I think it has to do also with this kind of hierarchical thinking where you just preach down what you think is the truth. And I think, yes, feminism also is able to say, let's
were devastated. Artists this time is gone.
Yeah.
But now I think art criticism has no importance at all. And this is somehow rather sad because writing about art and bringing it into the discourse is important. I read also good critics, and everybody has some fear of saying some critical remarks, which kills it.
I totally agree, and I see that the work, of course, there are still good essays written, but they are published in catalogs, which are only printed in small editions, and it becomes again an elitist playground where this takes place. And this is a pity, it's not shared broadly. It's a step backward, or I don't know, we become much poorer in the mind, and we have to see that the powers to say what is important, what is valuable, it's the auction houses, they are deciding what is valuable, and not the intellectual exchange anymore.
This is timeless capitalist realism.
Exactly.
This timeless remark of Sigmar Polke that he still holds over these decades, and we still have to fight this.
I agree.
And one last question: what would be your curatorial project that you would like to absolutely realize, but you haven't managed yet? Maybe some project that you really love to do.
It's a question I can't really. I always need a space. I need an opportunity. Someone who asks me, or then I develop ideas. But if you ask me this question, I'm a bit embarrassed. I don't know. Of course, I have a whole list somehow of artists who now inspire my thoughts just for the moment, for the zeitgeist. But it's good. It's always something you have there and it's floating, and it's only focusing when you really know the place where it should happen. It's like speaking towards a person, you somehow shape your sentences when you know to whom you speak.
To whom you speak. And one really last one. How do you choose artists for the exhibitions now at the Fondation?
Yes, it's a beautiful process because we have, sometimes you have, now I'm opening the next show on the 4th of October, and it's called the High Yellow Note, which is a phrase from Vincent van Gogh, where he says that he drinks too much coffee and alcohol, but thanks to his lifestyle, his style of life, he was able to attend high yellow notes. And of course it is something which is going beyond put also works together, which are not the same artist, but you have a given number of spaces, so that's how you work. And then this is maybe too long, so you start to understand this goes very well together. This gives something. There are works, if you put them together, they're not too close maybe, so they're not. So it's a whole process where you have a lot to work with your imagination.
I love it absolutely, but this is very this emotion. It has to create emotion, and its art is all about emotion. In the first place, it has to be an emotion, otherwise it won't work. This is
There was this morning by Vincent. This artist was to the exhibition in Berlin, and she said there is no absolute quietness or stillness, and there is no not also emotionless art. It's always emotion. So I really love that thing.
It has to be. It doesn't have this, and that's no art, and it's everything else. But it has to have the emotion. Well, thank you so much. It was incredibly interesting for me personally and for the one who will listen to this. Stay tuned, and by all means, come here and see this exhibition.
In Berlin, Schinkel Pavillon.
Everyone welcome. Bye-bye.